Om Bhadram Karneभिः शृणुयाम देवाः Bhadram पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुष्ठुवांसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यतायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ओम शांति शांति शांति। Verse number 9, where we studied last week.
No.
Yes.
Vedanta is not one of them. Vedanta itself is moksha. Vedanta, how to understand it?
The question is, what is moksha? What is the definition of moksha? Because there are so many different definitions there are so many people who give various definitions for moksha. So the question that that she is asking is, what is moksha? Lot of clarity and understanding is required to theoretically even conceive, to accept what is moksha. There is this book called Sarva Siddhanta Sara Sangrahan or book. Book on definitions. Somebody referred and somehow I got a copy of that, and it's a very, very small book. In that book, for the word moksha, he gives 33 definitions, 33 viewpoints towards moksha. Of that, Vedanta is also one. It should not be understood in that way. Of the very many schools of thought, this is also one. It should not be understood in this way. That is why in the beginning itself I said, lot of clarity and understanding is required even to know what is this word moksha. Moksha means what Upanishad means as moksha, whatever it is. First thing you should remember, of the very many schools of thought, don't say Vedanta is another school of thought. There are very many schools of thought. Of the very many schools of thought, Vedanta is also one. Yeah. Even those who are listening believe like that. There are very many schools of thought. Of the very many schools of thought, Vedanta is also one such thought. There is a fundamental difference between Vedanta and all other Vedanta and everything else. Second thing, that is why I always keep saying, anyway, all religions talk about the same thing only. No. All religions do not talk about the same thing. That also you have to be very clear. It's a very good political statement that all leads to the same goal. Everything leads to the same goal. It's a very good political statement. In reality, it is all schools, all Vedanta and the rest, there is a fundamental difference. What is the fundamental difference between Vedanta and the rest? In Vedanta, the last trace of duality is also spoken of as ignorance only. The last trace of duality also is part of ignorance. Jiva, Brahma, Aikyam. That is Vedanta. That is why I keep saying it again and again and again. What is moksha? Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. This is Vedanta. It means every other school is a system of ethics and morals. Vedanta is not a system of ethics and morals. It may use ethics and morals at one level. But Vedanta is not a school of ethics and morals. It's not another school of thought. There is a fundamental difference. That is why it is too difficult to digest. Even theoretically, it is difficult to digest and accept. What? Brahmaiva Satyam. Brahman alone is the Satyam, the truth. Rest are all, it can be Vaikunta, it can be Kailasha, it can be the heaven of the Christianity, or it can be the heaven of the Islam. All this pertains to duality, and Vedanta is distinct and different from this. So of the very many schools, this is how a professor will talk. This is how Max Muller will write. This is how Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan will write. There are very many schools of thought. Vedanta is also one. I'm not saying they are all wrong. Their vision is very limited, for they see it as a school of thought. A school of thought means what? A school of thought means what? Capitalism, one school of thought. Realism, one school of thought. Communism is one school of thought. Secularism is one school of thought. Shaivism is one school of thought. Vaishnavism is another school of thought. Islam is one school of thought. Jewish religion is another school of thought. In this list, Vedanta is also one. In this aspect, we may sound very fanatic. I may sound very fanatic. I may sound very stubborn and all that. The truth is, there is a fundamental difference. What is the difference? Duality is Maya, Avidya. It can be the duality in Vaikunta. It can be the duality in Kailasha. It can be the duality anywhere. It can be a refined duality. It can be a purified duality. But duality is duality only. Are you okay till now? For the ego, it is very convinced. Duality is very appealing always. To the ego, duality is very appealing. Why? Because not only it can exist as a pure ego. Yeah. So two things are given to the ego. The greed of the ego is fed here. Are you able to follow? What is the greed of the ego that is fed? Number one, you can exist. Don't worry, you can exist. Number two, you can exist in a purified form. In this Bhuloka only, this Mamsha Sharira and all that, this negative Sharira, Mamsha Sharira, all the negativity is only in the Bhuloka. But you go to that particular Loka, you will get You will get a pure Sharira, you will get a beautiful Sharira, and that is always very appealing, and that is always very, it appeals to the ego a lot. Vedanta comes and says, Upanishads comes and says, as long as the duality remains, as long as duality remains, what remains? As long as duality remains, what remains? Ego remains. It doesn't really matter whether it is an ugly ego or a purified ego. Ego is ego. Ahankara, mamakara is, whether it is purified or refined or ugly, ahankara is ahankara. And as long as ahankara is there, all that is associated with ahankara will be there. That is why you find the Puranic stories talking about Devas also having jealousy. They talk about Devas having jealousy, no? Indra, you will find Indra being jealous. Even gods are jealous. It means what? Jealousy. Disciples fight amongst themselves. What is the fight? Disciples fight amongst themselves. What is the fight? Who is the closest? Who is the best disciple? It means what? The ego, somehow the ego continues to remain. The Upanishadic vision, the Vedantic vision, the way that we discuss in this class is moksha means aikyam. Jiva Brahma aikyam is moksha. Aham Brahmasmi is moksha. Are you able to follow? Therefore, all other religions is predominantly a system of ethics and morals. Because if you have to become pure, you need to have right and wrong, good and bad, do's and don'ts and all the ethics and morals. So if you have to be pure, if you have to exist in a refined form, you need a set pattern of do's and don'ts, ethics and morals and all that. So it is just a system of ethics and morals. Vedanta says it is needed. Upanishad says that is needed. That is also necessary at one stage. But another stage, it is not needed. At one stage, you should get married. At another stage, you should move out. At one stage, you should. At another stage, you should get in and you should get out. All other religion says get in and be permanently stuck in that. It satisfies. Why? Because children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, all mine. I can see 20 mine sitting in front of me. What a joy and happiness it gives. Are you able to follow? Therefore, moksha in the Upanishadic sense, in the Vedantic sense, in the way that we talk about, is fundamentally, distinctly different from rest of it. Number one. Second thing that you should always remember is this political statement. Religious political statement. What is a religious political statement? All lead to the paths are many, but the goal is one. Idella very nice to Yeah, these are all very nice to hear. It's a politically correct statement where we don't want to have this kind of debate club discussions. Otherwise, we make some statements and we move out. But when we are studying a highest text like Upanishad, we have to be very, very clear. And clarity always sounds like arrogance. Clarity will always sound like arrogance. And in Jiva Brahma Aikya, there is no arrogance. Why? Because when we are saying everything is Brahman, where is arrogance? If we say only one set becomes Brahman, rest and all. If you have to go to Shiva Lokana, whether you like it or not, you have to subscribe to Shiva. If Vaikuntha is moksha, you have to subscribe to Vishnu. Supposing if you say, I am born in Calcutta and Kali, Abdina, this fellow will say, next Janma, he can do all that. He will gather lot of things, and next Janma, he will be born as a Vishnu disciple, and then he go for moksha. You go somewhere in the north, and that fellow will say, correct, they are all worshipping God only, but then by doing all this, in the next Janma, they will get a birth of, in a Shaiva thing, they'll get a birth, and then they will get to Shiva. It means it is very clear who can enter, who doesn't enter. That Aikyam the universal Aikyam is not possible there. The universal Aikyam is not possible there. Vedanta says, Jiva. What type of Jiva you are? Shaivite Jiva, Vaishnavite Jiva, Christian Jiva, Islam Jiva, adu kedaiyadhu. Ragadvesham irukra Jiva. Jiva caught up in Ragadvesha, caught up in Maya, ignorance. Leave that and get to moksha. As in the Gita, he says, of the thousands who strive, one reaches me, he says. Of the thousands who strive, one reaches me. When he says one reaches me, aham brahmasmi. Why? Because to conceive that is, even theoretically, to digest that is very difficult. Very difficult to digest that. Are you able to follow? This is moksha. So, there are no many schools of thoughts about moksha Allah. Duality or Aikyam, that's all. Duality or Aikyam. All religions, duality. Vedanta, Aikyam. In the duality, there may be different duality. A Shaivite duality, Vaishnavite duality, Jewish duality, Islam, Christian, Buddhism, Jainism, illana pudu duality, Ramakrishna mission duality, pusa you can become. There is no end for duality. But at the end of it, it is duality. Upanishadic vision, the Vedantic vision in the way that we study is the ultimate. What? Nobody talks about Aikyam as in Brahma with Brahmaiva Bhavati. Aikyam is what? Knowing Brahman is becoming Brahman. That is Aikyam. Brahma with Brahmaiva Bhavati. The knower of Brahman becomes Brahman. In fact, knowing is becoming. There is no external knowing. There is no knowing as in externally. Are you able to follow? There is no knowing as in you know an object. There is no knowing as in you know an object. For God is not an object. அதுதான் கேனோபனிஷத்தினுடைய கேனோபனிஷத்ஸ் விஷன். கேனோபனிஷத் explains one thing. இப்போ கதோபனிஷத் வந்து ஸ்ரேயஸ் அண்ட் பிரேயஸ், two paths, path of punya, path of moksha. Shreyas and prayas, Kathopanishad. Kenopanishad, Chakshushas Chakshur Adimuchya Dhiraha Pretyasma Loka Amrita Bhavanti. Natatra Chakshur Gacchati Navag Gacchati no Manaha. This is the vision of Kenopanishad, where he says, what you worship is not God. What you worship is not God. What you worship is not God. Isavasya says, Isavasyam is very, it doesn't go into these elaborate statements. Isavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjidam agrida kasya sviddanam. Onnum puriliye. Go and do Shadasham Shamaha. Go and do karma for 100 years. Go and do karma for 100 years. Beautiful. Are you able to follow the vision of the Upanishads? Brihadaranyaka. Brihadaranyaka, Yajnavalkya to Maitreyi. Are, he says. Are na, yeah, avlo pasama கூப்பிடுறார். Arena, it's a very loving way of husband addressing the wife. Yeah. Are. Throughout that series, he keeps saying Satvidya portion. He keeps saying Are. Husband is no. You love me, Maitreyi? She says yes. Are you sure you love me? He says yes. Are you sure that I love you? You are saying are. How pasama when you are saying are, how can you not love me? So we both are loving each other. There is no love here, Maitreyi. All this love is for the sake of yourself. For the sake of yourself. And then that Brahman can be known by Shravanat, Mananat, Nididhyasitavyaha. Yajnavalkya's teaching to Maitreyi is the cardinal principle of Vedanta. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. This Brahman can be known only through Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasitavyaha. Chandogya. Tattvamasi Shvetaketu. You are that. Takes the seed, breaks it into two. What do you see? He breaks it again into two. He breaks it again into two. A time comes where nothing remains. He says, it's not nothing. Tattvam. See. So the vision of the Upanishads, the vision of the Mundaka Upanishad. Yeah. Guru Upanishad edutha ella Upanishadum padikalam. That's why it's so beautiful. Mundaka Upanishad says what? Paravidya, Aparavidya. What is Aparavidya? What is Aparavidya? Tatra apararugvedo, yajurvedo, samavedo, tarvavedaha, siksha kalpo, vyakarno, nirukto, chando, jyoti. All that you know is apara. Narada goes to Sanat Kumara. After knowing so much also I am agitated, he says. Same question. Narada goes to Sanat Kumara and says, after knowing so much also I am agitated. And Sanat Kumara asks, what do you know? So beautifully he says. Sanat Kumara says, so you know what do you know? And Narada lists out Chaturvedas, the Vedangas, and then the 64 types of Vidya. I know all that. And he says, so? தெரிஞ்சுக்க வேண்டியது இன்னும் தெரியலையே. What is it? Huh? Now, so in all the Upanishads, you see, the vision is what? What is the vision? The vision is, the Aikyam is the vision. Are you able to follow? The Aikyam is the vision. Now, the same Upanishad will talk about Karma Yoga, will talk about so many other methods to prepare you to get to this and Aikya. Just because they are talking about other things also, you can't say that is the goal. So, this is where people misunderstand the text. In Bhagavad Gita, I always give this example. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 17th chapter, he talks about sattvic food, rajasic food, and tamasic food. Adukosam, you can't say Bhagavad Gita as a diet plan, no. In the 17th chapter, he says what is sattvic food, what is rajasic food, what is tamasic food. He gives that list. In the 18th chapter, he says Brahma karma svabhavajam, kshatram karma svabhavajam, vaishyam karma svabhavajam. When he says all that, see, he's a very, what is that person called? Who has, he's a very discriminative person. Discriminating between cat. Now you can't say that. Why? Because in the course of a conversation, they break it down to smaller steps, but when they break it down to smaller steps, the fundamental goal is not missed. What is the fundamental goal? Aikya is the fundamental goal. They may break it down. Upanishads, the way the Upanishads breaks it down, the way Vedas breaks it down, all other religions, all other system of thinking, take one idea from what the Vedas have broken it down and they develop an independent system. But when they break it down so that that person can apply that and prepare and mature and come to the level of recognizing the Aikya. Are you able to follow? That is why in a text like Bhagavad Gita, he talks about, you see him in the 17th chapter, in the 11th chapter, he talks about Vishwarupa Darshana. That's where you find one person take one viewpoint. Tilak says, Bhagavad Gita na Karma Yoga da. 13th chapter, 15th chapter doesn't exist for him. Munshi said, it is Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. Other things don't. Chapter 2 doesn't. Kshetragyam Chabhimam Vidhilan doesn't exist. Uttama Purushas Tanyaha doesn't exist. Are you able to follow? So one person take one view, which is a limited understanding. Here we try to Sutre Manigana Iva, the vision in our class, the way that Swamiji has designed it is Sutre Manigana Iva. We don't restrict to a particular viewpoint. We take that also, and we know the link. Where everything is placed. Rituals are necessary at one point. The same rituals has to be let go of at another point. You can't ask, should we do or should we not do? Are you for it or are you against it? You can't ask that question. Are you able to follow? Because are you for it or against it, you belong to a particular school. For school or against the school. Are you able to follow? Vedanta says we don't belong to any school. Why? Because we say for it at one stage, and against it at another stage. Same Mundaka Upanishad praises the ritual so much. Ehi, do it, do it, do it. 9 mantras saying, do it, do it, do it. 10th mantra, fools will do that. Fools will do that. Correct. The fellow who takes only the 10th mantra says all the practitioners are 1 to 9 is a fool. The person who's stuck in 1 to 9 doesn't even want to go to the 10th. Are you able to follow? The person who is so much in line with the 10th will ridicule 1 to 9. The fellow who is stuck in 1 to 9 will not even want to read the, he will not even want to read the 10th. In this classroom, we read that also, we understand that also, and we are trying to understand this. Are you able to follow? Therefore, our Vedanta is our Vedanta. It's not that some other has some other Vedanta. Our Vedanta means Aikya. There is no our Vedanta. There is no Swamiji Vedanta versus the rest of the Vedanta. Vedanta is Vedanta. That's all. So, Jiva Brahma Aikya. That is moksha. In fact, the word moksha will be spoken to a person in the very preliminary stage of spiritual evolution. As he comes to the Upanishadic level, he will not talk about moksha. He talks about what are the Upanishadic questions. Have you ever observed the difference? Arjuna talks about, and rest of the textbooks talks about a problem and then the solution and then moksha. Yes, a problem and then a solution to that problem and then comes moksha. Upanishadic fellows, have you ever seen any Upanishadic person going with a problem? Asking for moksha? They don't ask for moksha. They ask for Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya. That is where there is the Guru. If the Guru assesses where you are. I want to moksha, he will say, very good. You have to do a lot of karma yoga, he will say. I want moksha. You may think you are asking something. You may think you are asking, you may think you are an Upanishadic student. The Guru says, okay. Bondage is real and you are suffocated by it and you are seeking a solution from it. The Upanishadic level, there is no, it's not that he is free. The question that he asks is, teach me Brahma Vidya. Are you able to follow? All Upanishadic students are contented students. Their contentment level is unbelievable contentment. Their contentment, that itself looks like almost self-realization. That itself looks like self-realization. I have given this example, no? Govinda Bhagavad Pada asked Shankaracharya, who are you? Who are you? For which? Atma Shatakam. You read that, it doesn't look like a student saying, it looks like an enlightened person talking. It looks like an enlightened person talking. But he is not enlightened. He is asking for enlightenment. Are you able to follow? So he is asking for enlightenment there. So the very student is different. The very subject matter is different. The very vision, goal is is different. Lastly, it may look very far-fetched for us now. It may look very high for us now. But nevertheless, at this level itself, we can get convinced that is the goal. Are you able to follow? We may not be at the Upanishadic level, but where we are now, we can fix that as the goal. Adhan Bhagavad Gita, he says, straight path. There is the path of the sun, there is the path of the moon, and then there is the direct path. Take the direct path, Arjuna, he says. Take the direct path and come. Yeah, Kaivalyatale vandide. Yeah, correct. What am I talking? Yeah, same Kaivalya. Yeah, correct. Kaivalyame adane. Yeah, Kaivalya Upanishad is that, no? There is the direct path means what? As you are now, you can fix that as a goal. You can fix that as a goal. All that we are doing in this classroom is what? Trying to fix that as a goal. Are you okay? What is moksham? This is what mantra 9 says. Nanyaf panta vimuktaye. Nanyaf panta vimuktaye. There is no other way to liberation. Mukti ki there is no other way. He himself is saying so clearly, he is not saying there are many paths. All paths lead to the same goal. He says no, knowledge is the only path. Now that conviction itself is very important. That conviction itself is very important. It is not being fanatic. It is not being in the name of liberality, in the name of being liberal, in the name of we shouldn't be fanatic, we can't misunderstand the principle. Nanyaf panta vimuktaye. Knowledge alone is the means to liberation. All other practices are an aid to, is a preparatory step to knowledge. Nanyaf panta vimuktaye. Having known this, one transcends death. Having known this, one transcends death. I said this, the illusion of life is death. It's an illusion. There is no such thing called death. It's only a change. The greatest illusion of life is death. For something cannot go into nothing. For something cannot go into nothing. But the form can change. The form can change. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grinnati naroparani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samvati navani dehi. What is death? The man leaves one body and takes up another body. The movement continues. The movement continues till you reach Brahman. And what is the nature of this movement? A futile, purposeless movement. A futile, purposeless movement. Understanding this, a person transcends death. Yes. Subramaniam, you are asking something? Yes, Subramaniam. Solunga.
You're mentioning about Jiva Brahma Aikyam,
Yeah.
which presupposes that Jiva existed separately from Brahman. But that must be a figurative way of understanding.
Yes.
Because the Jiva existence is because of the wheel of ignorance.
Yes.
Says that I am attached to this body-mind complex.
Correct.
And this knowledge removes that attachment.
Correct.
Saying that I am not the Jiva, but I am that Brahman.
Yeah.
It's more like a figurative way of saying that the Jiva is into Brahman as an Aikyam.
Jiva Brahma Aikyam is a figurative way of saying the snake must recognize that it is the rope. That's all. What is Jiva Brahma Aikyam? The snake must recognize that it is the rope and it should become the rope. Right through it is rope only. But because of the reality of the snake is more, we say snake must understand its oneness with
Rope.
Snake must recognize its oneness with rope. Vedanta says, what an absurd statement. Therefore, even this Jiva Brahma Aikya is such an absurd statement. Why? Because where is the snake identifying his oneness with rope? Rope alone is. It is the avidya, the veil of ignorance. What we call as the avarna and vikshepa. The avarna and vikshepa means the projecting capacity. The projecting capacity and concealing capacity. Maya means two things. It projects and it conceals the real. Avarna and vikshepana, just technical terms, that's all. What it means is it projects and it conceals. When it conceals like a kosha, it conceals. It doesn't conceal like touching and mixing. It conceals, but how does it conceal? Like a kosha. That is where the Upanishad talks about this jiva is nothing but a kosha, pancha kosha and soltanga. So the snake is the product of avarna and vikshepa, meaning the projection, and when something is projected, it conceals as it were. So the statement Jiva Brahma Aikyam itself, you are correct, Subramaniam. It has to be understood as a figurative statement. It's absurd because you can't tell the snake, recognize your identity with the rope. It's absurd. Why it is absurd? For snake can never recognize his identity with the rope because snake is non-existing. That which is non-existing, how can it go from where it will go and identify the oneness? Therefore, it doesn't exist. But it gives some. But still we say Jiva Brahma Aikyam, we keep saying because it gives some, at one level it gives some clarity. But if you probe that very statement itself is a fallacious statement. That is why we say Anirvachaniyam. It stops there. It is indescribable and it stops there because any description that is given is limited, fallacious. Any explanation, any word is limited and fallacious. Therefore, what the Upanishad says, it is one of the extraordinary words. It is Anirvachaniyam. Yato vacho nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Where words fail to reach. Words means shabda. Shabda means space. Even the subtlest cannot reach me. Yato vacho nivartante tadhama paramam mama. My abode is different. But then in the initial stages, it gives us some direction to move. It gives us some direction to move. In the strict level of, in the strict way of analyzing, even the statement to say Jiva Brahma Aikyam and all is still very, very limited. I wouldn't say why I'm not using the word wrong, because there is no wrong word in Vedas, in Upanishads. Not one word in the Veda and Upanishad is wrong, is our Shraddha. Therefore, we say it is. Therefore, we say it has a limited. It has a limited utility. It has a limited application. Is it okay, Subramaniam?
It is like saying that we use the intellect to understand, and then drop intellect and realize.
Correct. We use the intellect to understand the futility of Raga Dvesha. We develop the intellect to understand the futility of Raga Dvesha, and as I am dropping the Raga Dvesha, I drop the
Intellect also.
Intellect also. You will kashtavattu valathitene adu konjam vechikirenna, it is still part of ajnanam, ignorance only. For even that has a purpose. What is the purpose? In understanding the uselessness of Raga Dvesha. Intellect has fulfilled its mission. The moment it understands Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani, Jatare Shayanam, Iha Samsare, Bahudustare, Kripaya Pare, Pahi Murare. Mandurtana, intellect has found its purpose. After that, that also has to be dropped. Exactly correct. That is where I always keep saying Vedanta, it praises the same thing at one stage, asking you to take it. At another stage, ridicules it and dismisses it. Now, where we are having a problem is, one set of people take only the ridicule part, and they go around telling everybody that what you are all doing is, the rituals are wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. They go around telling the wrong thing because they have just taken one portion. The other set takes the other portion. Vedanta says, take it. At one stage, take it. At another stage, leave it. At one stage, it praises it so that you can take it. At another stage, it ridicules it to leave it. It has to be understood in this
Context.
In this way. Is it okay, Subramaniam? Yeah. Venkatachalam. Is Aham Brahmasmi the final trace of duality? Is Aham Brahmasmi the final trace of duality? The practice of I am Atma Brahma is the final trace of duality. The statement Aham Brahmasmi.
Yes, I agree.
Correct. The statement Aham Brahmasmi is like saying Brahman is Brahman.
Brahman, yeah.
Aham Brahmasmi is nothing but Brahman is.
Yes.
Brahman is Brahman. That's what it means, Aham. So the last trace of duality is in the I am Atma Brahma in the Abhyasa Vakya.
Yeah.
I am Atma Brahma is where the trace of duality is still there. In Aham Brahmasmi, it is not there at all. Is it okay, Venkatachalam?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Grandchild is keeping you busy, we can see that. Yes.
The Karma Yoga Nidhi Brahma Kyam statement or purpose once the purpose is achieved, even that will follow.
Yes. What she's saying is, so it means, so what Ranjani is saying is, so it means at one stage, even that Jiva Brahma Aikya statement also I need to let go. Yes, you have to let go because it has a very limited, it is very limited. The Aikyam implies two. Whenever we say Jiva Brahma Aikyam, logically what it means, the very idea that we keep saying Aikyam, it means fundamentally there are two and the two has to become one. It means that. In truth, there is no two. There is no two. There is no two. That is why we say Brahma Satyam. Brahmaiva Satyam. Brahmaiva Satyam. Brahman alone is Satyam, truth, eternal. Whatever the word is. Whatever the word is. We really don't need so many words. We just have to, today we just have to, we have to elevate ourselves to that. We have to just raise ourselves to that level. That's all it is.
For a direction, purpose, and the single partners by Brahma Aikyam.
Yes.
The belief that we have to let go of having understood that there is no two only one.
Yes, because Aikyam implies the two must become one. It means fundamentally we are saying there are two. If fundamentally there are, if fundamentally there are two, the two will always remain two only. Fundamentally, if there is one only, it can become non-two. Non-two. Fundamentally, if we say there is two, the two will remain for eternity. The two will remain. That's what the Dvaita and that's what the Dvaita and Visishta Dvaita talk about. For eternal, permanently, that two will remain. That two can never become one. They say no, it is that two is remaining always. How that two can remain? How the two can become one? Therefore, according to them, Brahmaiva Satyam Jagan Mithya and all the statements are not statement of facts. It is a figurative way of saying pure good ego. The very interpretation of that word is that. They say it is. So then if you ask what does these statements mean? They say what this statement means is that. What is that? From a bad ego to the good ego. Out of 100, 98 will accept that. From bad to good is very acceptable. Transcending good and bad is difficult. Is it okay? Nanyaf Pantha Vimuktaye. Nanyaf Pantha Vimuktaye. Mantra 9. What is knowing Brahman means? No more you transcend death. You transcend death means you transcend insecurity, you transcend fear. That's what it means. Transcending death means transcending insecurity, fear. Death implies insecurity. Death implies fear. It is the insecurity that makes a person to cling on. The child clings to the sari of the mother. Sari pushine, it will go. It clings on to something. Everybody clings on to something. This clinging is because of the fear of death. This clinging is because of the fear of death. Child clings to the mother, the father. Youth, it clings on to its own self, the ego. I can achieve anything. I can do anything. Nothing is impossible. This is what happens at the level of clinging on to the ego. Old age, clinging on to insecurity. Directly seeing the insecurity. I am closer to 50. I'm getting closer to 50. Advices are coming from everybody. Financial advice. What is the financial advice? You should have at least from now on, ensure that you have a good. You are taking care of your own old age. Insecurity. Are you able to follow? It is insecurity. And what is knowledge? What is knowledge? Knowledge means freedom from insecurity. That is knowledge. That's what knowledge is. What is Vedantic knowledge? Vedantic knowledge, body, mind, intellect. There is the body, there is the body. Idella Vedantic knowledge illa. What is Vedantic knowledge in the simplest form? Vedantic knowledge means freedom from insecurity. Freedom from insecurity. You will associate with it, but you will not cling on to it in a relative plane. On a relative plane, you will use it, but you will not cling on to it. That is sannyasa. You will use it, but you will not cling on to it on a relative plane. On an absolute plane, you understand. On an absolute plane, you understand all these things doesn't exist at all. But idella romba far-fetched irukena Upanishad padikudadu. All this is too high for us. Then what we should do? We should not study Upanishad. Kaivalya class varakudadu avladha. For this Upanishad talks at that level only. Bhajagovindam level Upanishad will not talk. What does it talk? What is moksha? Freedom from insecurity. I am the self out of ignorance thinking me to be a human. That's avidya. I am the self misunderstanding temporarily to be being a human is avidya. What is vidya? Rupa alone is. Brahman alone is vidya. It is not that the human being going to become the human being becoming the self. It is not that. Me being a human being is I am Brahman, but me thinking that I am this human being itself is ignorance. So what is transcending death? Transcending death, I am the jiva. I am the Jivan சொல்றத விடுறதுதான் transcending death. I am the Jiva, I am the Jiva, I am the Jiva சொல்லினா I am a human being ன்றதுலேந்து the thinking must get out of that. And I am the human being ன்றதுலேந்து வெளில வரணும். அதுதான் உபனிஷத். It's not that I am going to be a better human being with a better body, with better powers. I am bodiless. I am equipmentless. I have no body. I have no Atma Shatakam da. I have no. That is the vision of the Upanishad. That is the vision. That is Vedanta. Are you able to follow? It's not that the human, I am the Jiva, the human being going to become Brahman. அப்படியே உள்டாங்க. I am Brahman. Ignorantly believing me to be this Sharira, this Jiva. Yeah. Brahman is saying, I am Venkatachalam. Rope is saying, I am snake. என்ன பண்ண முடியும்? When the rope is saying, I am snake. That is why it's called avidya. And what is knowledge? Exactly the opposite of it is knowledge. It's such a energetic, noble, grand vision. The human being becoming God. How can a human being become God? One. How can God become human being? So both are not there. Oh, abdina God became a human being. Nah, that is also not possible. For the rope can never turn into a snake. A snake can never turn into a rope either. But paakarome, adu temporary, avidya, ignorance. So what is transcending death means? Human being cannot attain immortality being a human. Are you able to follow? Transcending death means this. A human being cannot attain immortality being a human. Adu try panna Trishanku Swargam da. If a human being tries to attain immortality as a human being, adu Trishanku Swarga da. You know the story, no? Trishanku Swarga. He is still hanging. Like இப்போ கூட வெளில போய் பார்த்தா he may be hanging somewhere upside down. So if that is why Vedanta says it is, if somebody says I have had a spiritual experience in yaravadu sonna Vedanta, he just says okay, what else? Because how can are you able to follow? Are you able to follow? It cannot have it cannot be a spiritual experience. I am the self temporarily misunderstood me to be a human being. Temporarily I misunderstood myself to be a human being. It is not that the human being going to do a lot of tapas, vairagya, renunciation and all that and going to become Brahman. Are you able to follow? இதெல்லாம் சொன்னா தபஸ்லாம் பண்ணனும் இருக்கிற கொஞ்சம் மோட்டிவேஷன் கூட போய்டும். Even the little bit of motivation that we may have to do all this also will drop. Will not drop actually. If you understand the glory of this vision, you will not want to cling on to, anything after this. Are you able to follow? Having known him, one transcends death. You need to know what is transcending death means. Transcending death means transcending the insecurity. Transcending death means transcending the notion that I am a human. I am the Jiva. For a human can never become God. Pure human equals God. Correct. Pure, refined, better human being equals God. Brahmava arundu sethu polam. You can become a Lord Brahma and you can die as Lord Brahma. But you cannot become the self. You cannot become the self. Somebody have experienced it. That's why they are able to teach us all this. Somebody has experienced it and they have put it in beautiful words. And the Madri words are impossible to put it in the words like they have put it. Seriya? Same idea continues in mantra 10 also. Same idea continues in mantra 10. Sarva bhutastam atmanam sarva bhutani chatmani sampashyan brahma paramam yati nanyena hetuna. Sarva bhutastam atmanam sarva bhutani chatmani sampashyan brahma paramam yati nanyena hetuna. By perceiving the self in all beings and all beings in the self, one reaches the Supreme Brahman. Again, beautiful mantra. Na anyena hetuna, not by any other means. Hetu means the cause, the means, the reason. Not by any other means. So what is the way? Sarva bhutastha atmanam sarva bhutani chatmani. Game mantra is so beautifully comes in so many textbooks. Bhagavad Gita, exactly the same mantra. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 29, same mantra. Isavasya Upanishad, mantra 6, same. Chapter 7, verse 9, again the same. Same thing. What is it? Sarva bhutastam atmanam sarva bhutani chatmani. Exact verse from Kaivalya. He takes in the exact words. I nalla the reference kudukra. You can go on, refer that. Verse, chapter 6, verse number 29. The first statement is exactly the same. Angarikra first statement to Ingarikra first statement exactly verbatim the same. What is it? By perceiving the self in all beings and all beings in the self. Out of compassion, he is giving us a method to get to Brahman now. This is the method to get to Brahman. What is the method? By perceiving the self in all beings. Sarva bhutastam atmanam. Sarva bhutani cha atmani. It means what? Self in all beings in the self. What is he saying? How to see Brahman? See Brahman everywhere. Adha he is saying. Are you able to follow? How to see Brahman everywhere? See Brahman everywhere. How else to? How to see the rope? See it as? How to see the rope? No, see it as? What else he can? What else he can say? The avidya makes us to see something else. The avidya makes us to see something as divine and something as non-divine. Are you able to follow? Avidya makes us, avidya brings this distinction. What is the distinction? Some are divine, some are non-divine. Some are daivik, some are asuric. Some are good, some are bad. Whatever you say, let you, whatever the Upanishad say, whatever Vedanta says, okay. But in reality, sir, some are daivik, some are asuric. Some are good, some are bad. Some are right, some are wrong. How can you see? Sarva bhutastamatvanam, sarva bhutani cha atmani. How can you see it? There is no other. There is no other way. At one stage, you see a contained space. At another stage, you understand that it is indivisible space. At one stage, you understand that it is a contained space. At another stage, you understand that space is indivisible. At one stage, you say Atman is within body. At one stage, you say Atman is within body. At another stage, you say body is within Atman. That's the vision. Are you able to see? Body is within Brahman. Everything in the body is pure. Are you able to understand the difference now? Atma, God is within me. I am inside God. That's innonu. That's sarva bhutastamatmanam, sarva bhutani cha atmani. Are you able to follow? There is no other. There is no other means. There is no other. There is no other means. There is no other means to what? There is no other means to seeing the Brahman. There is no other means. When you are involved in the senses, you see a sensory world. When you are involved in the mind and emotions, you see everything emotional. When you are involved with the intellect, you see everything as idea and concepts. But nevertheless, there is caught up in body, mind and nevertheless caught up in body, mind and intellect. Sarva bhutani cha atmani. God is in everything. Everything is in God. Everything is in God. God in everything is a path. Understand, this is not the destination. Because even here, still duality can remain. Part means part not as in an amsha. Part as in, that is why we don't say part, you become. It's a merger. As river entering the ocean. When river enters the ocean, it becomes the ocean. It means after that, you cannot really segregate the river and the ocean. It is not that it is not that Ganges enters the ocean and still remain as Ganges in the ocean. Amazon doesn't enter the ocean and still remain as Amazon in the ocean. Are you able to follow? So when we say Atma, God, Brahman is in you and you are in Brahman, how should you understand that? When it said you are in Brahman, now how you should understand that? Like Ganges entering the ocean. Abdi purinjukonu. Like Ganges entering the ocean. Like Ganges entering the ocean. Na anya pantha. Next mantra, he is going to give a method, the practical, the method of churning the wood. Adalla indiki varala. Ena indha mantrave innu mudiyilla. This mantra itself is not yet finished. Innu nariya stories vechirukken indha mantrakke. Apparama we will go to the and then we will go to the next mantra. Sarvabhutastamatmanam sarvabhutani cha atmani. Exact statement, exact verse in Bhagavad Gita. Exact verse in Bhagavad Gita. Quite a few places he uses this. Sarvabhutastamatmanam sarvabhutani cha atmani. Chapter 7 he says, Sarvabhuteshu cha atmanam yastu sarvani bhutani. Again and again and again he keeps repeating it. What? Seeing the self in all beings and all beings in the self. Consciousness enlivens everything. Is one stage. Consciousness only is another stage. Consciousness enlivens everything is seeing self in all beings. And what is all beings in the self then? See, this is very clear. See, God is the core in everybody. Abdina, it is very consciousness enlivens everybody. Na, that part, the statement it is very easy to understand. But then he says, Sarva Bhutani cha Atmani. It means what? Consciousness enlivens everything. Everything is in that consciousness. Sarva Bhutani cha Atmani. Na, abdi kadeyadanga. Angada konjam we have to stretch our thinking. Sarva Bhutani cha Atmani. Na, it is consciousness. Consciousness alone is. Consciousness alone is. Is it okay? With this, I conclude for today, and we continue it in the next session. Yeah. Venkatachalam. Is there an answer to why avidya in the first place? Is there an answer to why avidya in the first place? There is no answer because it's a fallacious question. The question itself is fundamentally wrong. That is why there is no answer. Is there an answer to why avidya in the first place? It's exactly like asking, at what time did time begin? It's exactly like asking, in fact, that's what you are asking.
Because it is Maya.
At what time did time begin? You can't answer that question.
Okay.
Where does space start and where does space end? Where does space end? Well, everything should have an end, correct? Up in a space also should have an end, correct? Then where does space end? You cannot.
Yes.
You cannot. Are you able to follow?
Yes.
For the very nature of it is indescribable, anirvachaniya. That is why Vedanta boldly says we don't have an answer to this question. We don't try to cover it up with scholarly words and all that by giving an answer to this question. It straight away says this question we don't have an
Answer.
answer. Not only we don't have an answer, if we can't answer, that is arrogance of Vedanta. If we can't answer, nobody can
Answer.
But sir, can maths and science and physics combine the answer? No, they also cannot. Nobody can answer. Why? Because it is beyond the
Intellect.
human intellect.
Comprehension.
Beyond the comprehension. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. With this, we conclude for today and we continue the next session. Hari Om.